Everybody talks about the open society, and it seemed for a time as if the internet was going to create the most open society ever. What went wrong? It hasn't turned out to be the utopia of free speech and global toleration that we were promised. Just a few years ago, people had visions of cyberspace as a kind of utopia in which we would all be netizens exchanging ideas and learning from one another. And we've ended up instead with Donald Trump, with Islamic State, and with extraordinary misuse and abuse of social networks for what we call hate speech. So I tried to explain why I think the world of the internet has been such a disillusioning world for so many people by talking about something very Hungarian, namely network theory. Budapest is actually the birthplace of network theory in all kinds of ways, from the idea of 6 degrees of separation to the really fancy network analysis done by László Barabási. And I just borrow ideas from clever Hungarians and apply them to the past. And the argument is simple. You can't understand the world of the internet, of Facebook, of Twitter, if you don't understand network structures and how networks behave, why they're actually very unequal things, why some nodes have many, many more edges, in other words, why some people have many, many more connections than others. And when you think of it that way, it turns out not to be surprising at all that the very, very open society we've created can be a society of intolerance and of hatred. One way of thinking about the past is in terms of networks and hierarchies. For most of history, people have lived in very hierarchical societies with one king or one emperor at the top and everybody else down below, quite disconnected from one another. But there have been 2 periods when networks have challenged hierarchies. One was the period after the introduction of the printing press in Europe, which saw a series of revolutions beginning with the Reformation and carrying on through the Scientific Revolution and the Enlightenment to the American and French Revolutions. The other age of network empowerment is our age, which began, I suppose, in the 1970s with the early innovations that produced the internet. And roughly speaking, the book was the thing that revolutionized the 16th, 17th and 18th century world. And the personal computer or smartphone has been the thing that has revolutionized our world. Well, back in the mid-19th century, there were utopians who predicted that utilitarian theories would allow societies to be perfectly organized. And Dostoevsky was very skeptical about that. And I quoted in my lecture Notes from Underground, in which Dostoevsky says, even if we can timetable humanity down to the last second, there will always be a part of man that revolts against that kind of rational order. And it's what the English call bloody-mindedness that Dostoevsky is talking about. And I think bloody-mindedness, the desire to do something absolutely bloody stupid, even when everything has been made perfect for you, remains one of the driving forces in history.